So none of it had to have happened. The only thing that had to happen was the Marvel stuff to keep us on schedule. And yet I was out in LA like a dope. It was so at least the weather was nice and had the windows open.
I mean, first things first, we've kind of launched into this. I might as well do a bit of an intro to it.
I'm sorry. That wasn't on air.
No.
That was
No. I'm wanting to get into a little bit more like where you just fall into it. Just kind of like fall into a conversation. But very quickly, this is Talking Comics, cup of tea with Englishman in San Diego. I've got my cup of tea, and I have my person to talk comics with, Mr. Dan Slott. Welcome to you, Squire.
Woo!
Whoa, you are busy. I mean, what's your week been like? Because I mean, do you want to talk about? Did you get called up on jury duty, sir?
I did not. I did not get called on jury duty.
Fair enough. So that's
and supposedly, according to other people there in the jury room, on multiple occasions I snored. So, and I have a loud snore, as someone can tell you. So
we don't think his attention's fully on this.
Oh no. I wasn't called to. I was like, you're in the waiting room to see if they'll put you on a jury, and they never did. They never even took me out of the waiting room.
Could your bandwidth?
That was
if you'd have been called up for jury duty, would your bandwidth have been able to handle it?
No, I would have been so hosed because I am. I'm usually, in my heyday, I was up to like 3 books a month, and at my best, I've always been 2 books and change. And if you throw something, but anyone who works on a monthly comic book knows, especially something like a flagship book like Fantastic Four, Amazing Spider-Man, you're not really working on the one book because you have inventory issues, you have annuals, you have specials, you have all these things. And quite often you'll find yourself working on 2 or 3 issues of the flagship title at the same time. So that's just like one book. And you can see it for all my years of working on Amazing Spider-Man. Whenever you had a situation where we were putting out like Clone Conspiracy Alpha or this standalone Spider Island one shot or any kind of thing that deviated from the norm, and we had an event book going and we had a regular artist who needed to be fed after the event, whenever it got to a point where it was like they needed me to effectively do 3 books in 1 month of Amazing, that's when we'd bring in my buddy Chris Gage.
Yeah.
And Chris Gage would do the script over my plot for one of those issues. And then usually I would get like a day to look at what Chris had scripted because Chris wouldn't know about upcoming stories. So I'd have to finesse what he did so it all worked. So that was kind of crazy. So in a weird way, you are re-scripting the thing anyway. But Chris was really great about that. He let me alpha dog it, and I greatly appreciate that. But it meant that, like, end of the day, I've done something like between 200 and 240 issues of Spider-Man, and Chris Gage helped co-write 15% of that. So it's like,
wow. Well, yeah. And then you've got other stuff and life stuff. I mean, okay, I am going to press a bit of ignorance on this one because for myself, lack of bandwidth as well, because it's kind of my relationship with social media at the moment. It's just like, if it is just controlling too much of my bandwidth and my focus and my attention, I end up kind of dialing back, which is why I ran from Twitter. I've run from Facebook. I am purely Blue Sky and Threads at the moment. And all I've seen from you on Threads, because is Threads or Blue Sky your primary?
I do Threads, Blue Sky. I have Facebook, but that's mainly for like college and
remind you who birthdays are coming up.
Yeah, family and stuff. And I just, because I'm so used to going, hey, I've got another issue of Superman coming up, check it out this week. That goes on my Facebook too. But I've long abandoned Twitter. It got a little too Nazi-ish.
Yes.
But yeah, so I'm in social media. And what I mainly use social media for is you can go a little crazy in here in the void. Where you're working at all different hours and you can't call up a friend because they're asleep. And it's just nice to have some form of social interaction with somebody. But that I've kind of pared way back. So I'm just doing like a wacky bit of business and then I'm out.
Right. Because all I've seen, because it's been mostly Threads I've seen this on, is you kind of addressing a podcast that you were on. And the noise that just came from that.
Yep.
So I mean, I think we'll start there, I guess, which is, at what point then is social media part of somebody who's working professionally in comics? When is that their job? When does that become
it shouldn't
a necessary part of your role?
It really isn't. And it shouldn't be. And I should pull back a lot further than I've pulled. But it's nice after you've seen an episode of Pluribus or Shrinking to talk to people about it, you know, because you want to talk to. I just saw this episode. Oh, Carol Sturko. What? Oh no.
That's been my show of the year. It has absolutely been my show of the year.
It's so good. And I like all of the I like all of the Bill. I'm blanking on his name, but Shrinking, the relaunches, Bill Lawrence, Shrinking, the relaunch of Scrubs. I haven't tried out Rooster yet. I probably will. And when Ted Lasso comes back for season 4. But yeah, I love that little universe, especially Shrinking.
I'm apprehensive about Ted Lasso because it was such a crystalline ending. It was such a bow. So then just untie that.
I agree. But if it's on, I'm going to give it a shot.
Which is why that's why I watched Scrubs.
Yeah, because the last incarnation of Scrubs, the way it went out was sad. And this is kind of like a chance to undo that. It's like, wouldn't it be lovely if they did that for like problem seasons? Like, just get everybody back, even if you had to animate it. Like, here's a season and a half of Game of Thrones where we fix everything. And it's not Bran. And it's not this. It's not that. And that person didn't get eaten by a dragon. And you just do it differently. And you go, here you go. Here's your what if. I mean, I would kill for that. Like, I like the alternate ending they included on the DVDs for How I Met Your Mother. In my brain, it's everything that airs, forget the final episode, use their alternate ending, and then I'm happy. You know, which brings us to headcanon and how we read and love our comic books. Like, there's a weird thing you will never find in any of my Spider-Man books. You will never find Kraven the Hunter set in modern day. In my head, what Mark DeMatteis did in Kraven's Last Hunt was that's the last Kraven story. And I kind of, in my heart, don't accept any other. So whenever you see Kraven appear in one of my comics, it's in a flashback. It's an alternate universe Kraven in Spider-Verse, or it's not the real Kravinoff. It's not the real guy, which made my life really easy on Amazing Spider-Man, because people are always coming after you for we need a villain for our story. We really want a spider villain. I could always go use Kraven, because I knew I was never touching him. I would just, you should go. You need somebody in Squirrel Girl? Use Kraven. You need someone to show up in with Flash Thompson, Agent Venom? Kraven. Kraven's free, because I'm not going near that.
Kraven's Last Hunt was the first book for me getting into American comics as like a first arc, because for me, I mean, I may be remembering this entirely wrong, but it was Millennium, that as an event, and it was Kraven's Last Hunt as an arc. It was the first time I collected a series, if you know what I mean, when I was coming into American comics from 2000 AD, Crisis, Warrior, and then in.
Millennium brought you in.
I know.
Millennium brought me out. There is only one period of my comic book reading history from when I'm 8 years old to modern day where I said, screw it, I'm out. I'm no longer reading comics. To hell with you. The
tie-ins were good.
What?
The tie-ins were good.
I was a college student on a limited budget, and Millennium was coming out the same time as Fall of the Mutants.
Right.
Same time. And both Marvel and DC hyped these things, saying, you need to read every tie-in to understand the whole story. So I was buying almost the entire line of Marvel and the entire line of DC at the same time. And the choice I made was, for those months, I was eating peanut butter and ramen noodles. I put comics above food.
Oh, man.
And I got to the end of Millennium with those losers who are the new Guardians as the only comeuppance of the whole thing. And the Fall of the Mutants, the only people who were really murdered were Morlocks you never gave a about. Tommy, the Morlock who could flatten. I didn't care. And I looked at that and I went, to hell with you. I'm done.
Listen, I said it's when I came into American comics. I never said I enjoyed it. Let me refresh this. Like I say, that's the period of time I came in. I'm not saying I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the Suicide Squad episodes. I enjoyed the time in Smallville. I enjoyed the Justice League all coming together and going up into space. I enjoyed all the core issues. Well, it was when I sold my collection, when I discovered cider and boobs and got out of comics for a bit. The Millennium stuff was literally the first stuff I threw
to jettison out the airlock.
Fuck you.
No, I had gone just dead. I'd stopped. I canceled my subscriptions that were coming to my college dorm. Wow. I wasn't going to the comic shop that I always went to every week. It was dead. I was just going to focus on my studies and theater shows and that was it. And then one night we were having a pizza night at my dorm, and we were ordering so many pies for everybody in the dorm that Little Caesars couldn't deliver it all. So could someone help? And I said, I'll do it. I loaded down the flap in my car. I made like my car was going to be one big pizza receptacle, and I drove it to Little Caesars. And I'm like, I'm here for all the pies for this dorm. And they're like, oh, it's going to take a while. And they were next door to a comic shop that had just opened. And I'm like, I can kill half an hour in a comic shop. But I was determined. I was not going to buy any Marvel or DC. They were dead to me, dead. And after Millennium and Fall of the Mutants. And I walked in there and there was a $3, there was a dollar bin, 3 for $1. And I just picked 3 covers of indie books that I thought looked interesting. And I picked the Motherlode, Leonard. This is what saved me. The 3 issues I got were Zot, Mage, and Tick. The original black and white Ben Edlund's. I read those as soon as I delivered the pizzas and we had our pizza night. I went back to my room and I read the 3 comics I picked. I was, oh my God, when does that store reopen? And I drove back there immediately, and I went through that dollar bin. And I got all the Zots and Mages and Ticks that they had in the dollar bin, and then I got caught up to present on those 3 titles. And then I was just going, I'm only coming in for Zot, Mage, and Tick. That's it. I'm done. But then I'd be, oh, that looks really interesting in Spider-Man. Oh, that looks really interesting in Cap. Oh, I like that Detective Comics cover. That looks, and then suddenly, not only had I gotten back into Marvel and DC, but by going into the back issue bins, I bought everything from the year and a half I missed. So that was like, if it wasn't for Zot, Mage, and Tick, I would have, you wouldn't have had to put up with Clone Conspiracy. You wouldn't have had to put up with like Alpha. I'm very, so there you go. Blame Zot, Mage, and Tick.
What's your comics reading like at the moment then? Do you still keep up with the indies?
Yeah, in fact, I love the the Crisis event. The Image book is excellent. Yeah. But I have to go out of my way to find it. And then there's always the problem of people who work on stuff, so you feel obligated to follow your pals as opposed to the thing that might be grabbing your attention. I miss the days where I could just go into a shop and see the weirdest cover and go, well, I have to try that. Like that I'm like stuff like Devil Chef. You go, what the hell is that? Then you go, well, I'll try it out. Why not? But yeah, mostly I'm keeping up with the Marvel and DC because I'm in those universes and I want to make sure I'm getting the stuff right.
No, I get that. I mean, for myself, I've got a spinner rack which I bought and it's here, and I've got my collection in front of me, and I'm looking, and it is mostly the indie books that I am reading. So there's Power Fantasies, my big book at the moment, which I adore that book. There's a number. I mean, there's a number of the like the Phantom of the Opera. There's Sky Bound Entertainment. That the Universal Monsters I'm really getting into. Red Book, that kind of thing. When it comes to DC and Marvel, certainly when it comes to DC, I mean, you're talking about Pluribus, and I was going to say I equate that to Tom King's books with Wonder Woman and with Fire and Ice, and character moments which may take a whole episode up, and you may feel like the plot is not advancing as. I mean, the complaints that came on social media about Pluribus, the show's not fucking doing anything. Yes, it is. It's telling you about character. It's telling you about internal drive, and it's telling you about why this person is going to react like this at the end of the episode. It's about drive, and that's what Tom King does for me. Certainly with like Wonder Woman, there's like issues of that where you feel, well, not a great deal has happened from page 1 to page 3. There's loads of stuff, but it's all character. And I mean, that's the kind of books that I'm reading at the moment.
I would love to have the faith that I could do that. But me personally, there's too much of a Scheherazade in my brain where I better throw some plot stuff at you, and I better throw enough stuff at you that, dear God, please come back next month.
I think when I read Superman Unlimited, I get that. It's like that big beat every 3 pages. It's the bang.
But at the same time, I'm having a blast working on Superman Unlimited, and it really feels.
You can absolutely tell.
My career is ludicrous. I kept saying yes to the exclusive contract for 20 years. Who does that? Who puts themselves in? I love Marvel and I love the Marvel universe, but there'd be that like itch. Like I'd have these ideas for Green Lantern or for this or for that, and I'll put it in this bucket. And eventually someday maybe I'll get the pull from the idea bucket over here. And so it was a joy to come on to a DC book and suddenly go, is anyone using Jack Ryder? He's now in Metropolis. Then he has his own podcast. And is anyone using that? Is anyone using this? And just being able to play with everything. The hardest part for me on working on Superman Unlimited, thank you, Scott Snyder, for knocking Superman out of the universe for months. But I mean, I'm having fun because it means I'm working with John Kent. But
one of the most interesting characters that's appeared in a DC Comics book for me for a while, because John Kent for me is almost a textbook Dan Slott character, because when you come into a book, I mean, someone could turn around and say that you actually come in with a baseball bat and I'm breaking all the smashing the toys together. But I don't see that. I see you creating big moments every book. So you really and John Kent is the biggest moment he's in the Superman lineage, because it's a son. It's a child.
It's Superman's son. It's yeah. And oh God, that's like the worst, in a world where people yell Nepo baby at everything. To be Superman's son, oh my God, that's just what a hard place to find yourself. Yeah, especially for such a good kid.
Especially when you've also got the other member of the Trinity that has his own. And I love the fact that you would acknowledge that and you recognize that.
Oh, I'm having so much fun with this. But to me, the fun, like, nothing is out of bounds on Superman Unlimited. It's just okay. When I was working on Spider-Boy at Marvel, the moment I could hit the can I swear here?
Of course you can.
Okay, thank you. The moment I could hit the fuck it button, where and just do whatever I want on Spider-Boy, was the moment like everything. There's an issue where in the space of one issue, Howard the Duck wanders through, and Bailey Briggs gets to pilot Leopardon and fight a kaiju, and then he gets zapped through a portal, and then he ends up in Spider-Man 67 universe with J. Jonah Jameson yelling, "I want pictures of Spider-Boy," and that's like all in one issue with a million other things in it too. And just because I'm having fun, I'm scripting tonight whole sequences with Beppo the Super Monkey. I'm so happy. We had like Lois Lane flying the Supermobile with the giant fists, and like anything can happen in this book because I'm going to pick everything I want to play with. Mark Wade was using Ultra the Multi-Alien in a Justice League story, and I was like, damn it, okay, now I have to wait a few months till I can play with Ultra the Multi-Alien. I love astronaut Ace Arn, whose body is split 4 ways. There's all these things in the DC universe that are just such wonderful toys and concepts and ideas and characters, and I'm so happy.
Do you find yourself going through like the DC encyclopedia and the old DC and just going, oh yes, please?
No, I'm digging through all the stuff that made me happy when I was reading DC books. That when I was growing up, the Marvel characters were like the guy down the block. You knew the Marvel characters, and the DC characters were gods. They're billionaire playboys and people that were like, I don't understand you, but you're awesome. I don't understand you, but you're awesome. And so they were on some level aspirational. Like if someone gave you 3 wishes, you wouldn't wish to be a Marvel character. That guy has to pay rent and horrible things are happening to him all the time. You'd rather be the guy who has like 12 million powers and can go faster than the speed of light. There's something cool. But then there are characters in each universe that could easily fit in the other. Like Captain America could easily fit in DC. The Creeper could easily fit in Marvel. The Doom Patrol could fit into the Marvel universe very well. So there are,
which is why the Superman Spider-Man book, I'm really hoping that takes up, because then you do have, okay, that, like you say, that can go over there. This can come over there. Yeah.
There's a lot of fun things, but when I was growing up, you really felt for I felt for the Marvel books. They felt relatable. I understood these characters and what they were going through, and I was on, the edge of my seat. What's going to happen to him next week? Will he get kicked out of that apartment? And will that girl like him anymore? And all these problems. And the way the DC books kind of battled that seductive Marvel thing was, we'll just do the most batshit crazy thing on a cover. So when you walk by and you see that DC book, you have to pick it up. I've been turned into a puppet. I have to eat 1,000 burgers or I'll die. Like that was the magic of the DC books versus the magic of the Marvel books. So the hardest thing for me right now on Superman is, I love Red K stories. I love stories where Superman goes, I have the head of a lion. What? And that I have to restrain myself and pace myself. And I'm saying I'm only going to do one of those a year, or I would do it every other month. Every other month would just be the craziest Red K story. And the one
I don't know. You're having a lot of fun with Green K, to be fair.
Oh yeah. No, but Green K is what levels the playing field for me. So suddenly Superman has to try harder. But with, we did issue 4, we did Superman gets bit by Man-Bat, becomes Superman Bat. That was my Red K story for this year. And I hope people will be happy with the one we do next year, even though it's not Red K. But you know what I mean when I say Red K.
The only hiccup I had with that story was great premise and all of that. It's the fact that Canary got bitten, and it didn't really. You couldn't have done a bit more with that story, because Canary's my Canary, Barda, Zatanna. That's my 3.
I'm with you. The hardest, when I'm working on DC book, one of the greatest joys is that they're 22 pages. And I grew up working on Marvel books that were 22, and then one day they came down and said they're all 20s. And I remember talking with Mark Waid about this, going like, you can feel it, can't you? Like a phantom limb, like those 2 missing pages. Like, I need them, I want them. So a lot of times, a lot of my Marvel work, there's no splash pages. I don't have time for a splash page. That's a panel. A splash page is a panel, a glorified panel. If you're reading it digitally, that's one swipe. It doesn't matter. It's a double page layout or whatever. And the idea of using that real estate on anything that doesn't move the plot forward or move a character forward drives me nuts. But when I'm on a DC book, I'm like, oh, I've got 2 more pages to play with. I can throw in the weirdest splash, or I could do this fun thing, or have a wacky bit of business, and I started noticing the more fun I had with that, it started bleeding into my Marvel stuff too. Like I'll find the space for that. I was on a panel.
Do you enjoy that kind of limitation? That rule of squeezing as much into I mean, I could go with like Concentrate. I don't know if you're in the States with it. It's just really super sweet, all intense.
Ribena.
Ribena. Some books, okay, they can add the water and they can have stuff time to breathe. Are you more the Ribena guy? Are you more the
super when I was starting out, like my career was like in 3 stages, and when I came back to Marvel in 2004 on She-Hulk, I wanted to make sure that every issue of She-Hulk was just packed to the gills. That when there's like a million things going on in every issue, and because I would look over at what the other guys were doing on the Marvel books, and I'd want to throw a brick through a window. It made me so mad whenever they showed a double page spread that was an establishing shot of the helicarrier. There was a lot of that, or a double page layout that's it shows you the triskelion, and I'm like, you just took 2 pages on a building. what I could have done with 2 pages. You know what the establishing shot is of the helicarrier? That's panel 1 in a Kirby book, you bastards. Here's the helicarrier, and now we're sitting around the table talking about what we're doing, and now we're doing this, and by the next page, someone's invaded the helicarrier. That's page 2. That one, but you eat that up when you do. Oh, that would just drive me crazy. But that said, there's I want to say it's coming up next like next week with Superman Unlimited 11. There is 2 pages of excess that made me so happy, where it's just luxurious excess, and Lucas Meyer nailed it. And I'm not going to even say what it is. This is a problem I've been having. I hate spoilers. I hate preview pages. I hate anything that gives you an advanced look into what we've got. I want you to read it on the page. And this week was so much stress because I knew they were releasing 1 page.
Right. Let's dial it back then. Yeah. Oh well, yeah. I mean, that's something we'll come back to that. So let's talk. Okay, we kind of touched on it then. What was said on social media? Like I say, my attention's been all over the place. I kind of missed it. What were they picking up on? What was the story?
Lordy.
I know. Sorry about if you don't want to.
Oh no, because I had a podcast that I did with our friend John Centris, and I really talked about 4 things. I talked about my upcoming Fantastic Four one-shot with Mark Buckingham. Came out, loved it, loved working with Bucky. The Superman Unlimited, the Reign of the Superboys.
Yeah.
Which we're doing. This whole line-wide Superman thing. I'm so happy with that. And Superman Spider-Man crossover.
Yep.
And my upcoming Spectacular Spider-Man book. So I was talking about 4 things over the course of an hour. And a fan, really nice guy named Dano, he took a segment of the podcast and he ran it online, and now everyone thought that was me sending that everywhere. That was him going, this is the part of the podcast that was interesting to me as a fan. So I've made a clip, and I put that clip on my website, and I put that clip into social media. So people weren't watching the whole podcast. They were watching, with the blind men and the elephant. They were watching the trunk, and they thought the podcast was about a snake.
Internet 2026, man.
It was so frustrating because it was only a small segment of what I was talking about. Marvel has a thing now that they do. If you have a flagship title that's going to issue 622 or whatever, that book is safe as houses as long as you keep the sales up. But if they're launching a new book, it's Magic and Colossus, it's whatever, it's here's a new book, Planet She-Hulk. It's put in the catalog as issue 1 of 5, issue 1 of 6, or 1 of 5. And that's because if you don't put the 1 of 5 and the book ends at 5, the retailer feels screwed. The retailer's like, why didn't you tell me that was only going to be 5 issues? Now, in your heart of hearts, all of these books, you want them all to do well, and you want them all to be ongoing, but you can't screw the retailer. They've got to make these hard choices. The retailer has to go, this month's sales pays next month's rent. They have to really cut through when they look at that catalog and go, I'm going to order this, I'm going to order that. So they see all these number 1s, they buy the number 1s.
Yeah.
And then when it comes time to 2, their eye might wander because they've got all these blind bags over here, or this new issue of Absolute, I don't know, Absolute Ambush Bug is going to launch. and this and that and the other, and there's all these things that are vying for their attention, and all these books that were 1 of 5s and 1 of 6, the issue 2s don't do that well. And then when they're making the order the next month, they're going to order even less when they go to the 3, and that's going to set the sales trajectory. So before you, the reader, have ever had a chance to crack open the cover of a book, you haven't read one word of this book, it could already be on a doomed trajectory where there is nothing you as a fan can do to save it.
Yeah.
The best you can hope for is that everybody comes out of the woodwork and everybody buys issue 4 and 5, and everyone loved it so much that we'll try another run of it. Or everyone bought the trade so much, but by the time you do that, the band is broken up and they're on new projects.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get the band back together. So I have a book which is Spectacular Spider-Man #1. This is a perfectly good satellite book. This is, you know, when I grew up, you had Amazing Spider-Man, you had Spectacular Spider-Man, you had Web of Spider-Man. You had these books. Amazing always did better. But you had a book like Spectacular, which would introduce characters like Cloak and Dagger, or have storylines like the Sin Eater and the death of Jean DeWolf, or introduce new villains like the Spot. And that was all happening in Spectacular. So that book had an energy of its own. So you could be, I knew people who didn't read Amazing, but read Spectacular.
Yeah.
Spectacular is a good home for Spider-Man. It's a good thing to have on the stands for fans. We're doing, because there's a movie coming out called Spider-Man Brand New Day. We were going to start our Spectacular, so we could call it Brand New Day, to have this adventure that means a lot in the past, that would have repercussions in the present. So by the time you get out issue 5, you go right into the next storyline with this hook.
Yeah.
From the Brand New Day era. So we were going to have, for while the movie is in the theaters, here's this book called Spectacular Spider-Man Brand New Day. And we have things that we're doing in the book that make it very new reader friendly. So if someone saw the movie, they could go right into the book.
Okay.
Here's a world where everyone's forgotten Spider-Man is Peter Parker. Here's a world where Spider-Man's having an adventure with the Punisher in it. Here's that character from the PlayStation 4 video game, Mr. Negative, you might know, or Kingpin from Daredevil Born Again TV show. Here's all these pieces that you, as a casual reader, might know, and to bring you in. So I thought we had a really good mix and a really good team with me and Marcus Toe and Marcos Martin. I'm like, this is a strong book. And then the book comes out and says 1 out of 5. And I saw that and I was like, oh man, I'm not happy about that. We got to do something. We got to fight. So I was telling people, not, hey, everybody buy this book. Oh my God, please, please, please buy this book. I was saying, if you're someone who likes my Spider-Man work and you want this book to be there for you, you need to tell your retailer to put it on your pull list. Let the retailer, when they're making their orders, know, oh, I've got so many people who are going to be there for Spectacular Spider-Man. So I'm not even telling you, like, I'm telling you, if you know this is a book you want to read, not, oh my God, please buy it, please buy it. And suddenly I've got all these YouTube channels with AI generated art of me being a beggar, asking everyone to please read my book, and everyone using the verb beg.
And the thing is, I didn't get that from what you were saying. Partially because I'm a fan of John Suntress, so I watched the podcast. I got the general idea, and I got the context of what you were saying. For me, my 2 big gripes when it comes to floppies and single issues, and the whole 1 in 5 proclamation in previews, is because I understand that it's about selling of the trade and telling people, don't worry, there's 5 issues coming up, they will be the trade. You're talking about the #1 big hit straight out the gate, and so like the retailers grabbing that and running with sales for that number one. But then they can turn around to people and say, well, you can buy it, and I hope you enjoy it, and hope you come back for issue 2. But don't worry, there's going to be a trade. It's going to be collected. It's going to be a complete story. Don't worry about it. And that's kind of frustrating to me, as I'm the old Doctor Who episode kind of guy. I'm the guy that watched every I'm not somebody who reads. I don't buy trades. My collection there is very abnormal to most comic collectors. I get it, because it's all singles. I am a episodic guy, so when I see 1 in 5, I understand it's being pitched to the trades market, and I get that. Then you've got the other thing you were talking about in terms of feeding things into the other media, and it's the corporate entity that's trying to get you to bounce off the excitement for the film into that.
No. That's me. I'm a whore. I'm the one who's like, I want to come up with that.
I mean, say for example, there's a Punisher series coming out. I know there's going to be a Punisher book coming.
Yeah,
and you just go, okay, I understand the market. I understand I know what's going on. I don't like it. I don't like a book having to piggyback off something else. I get it. I understand.
I don't mind it at all. We all come from somewhere, and I find no one came at this from just going, oh, I like that on the rack. It's usually, I had this toy, or I played this video game, or I saw this movie. You go to any like Women of Marvel panel, and they ask, what got you into comics? There is a forest of hands that rise up when they say X-Men 97 cartoon. Like, that was the magic hook for that demographic that got them all to march into the store and go, I want to buy that comic. Now I'm in the X-Men universe, and now I'm going to check out this trade, and I'm going to check out this thing. It was that cartoon. For me, it was Spider-Man 67, playing after school, that made me want to go, oh, I want to check out that comic book. So I believe we all come from somewhere.
Yeah.
So if there's a movie coming out, you look at my entire run of Spider-Man, no one had to twist my arm. Whatever that villain was in the movie, they were damn well going to be the villain in that month of Spider-Man, because I want to try it. Who
came to who when it came to this Brand New Day? Did you go,
I went to CB and went, why the hell aren't you guys doing a book that says Brand New Day on the cover, that's set during the Brand New Day era, and you're trying to sell Brand New Day omnibuses and Brand New Day trades? You should have a book. I made like 2 or 3 pitches to CB, and the weird thing is, I find at Marvel, you don't pitch things to Marvel. Marvel editorial comes up with an idea that they like, and then they find the talent. Someone at Marvel goes, oh, I want to do Death of Silver Surfer, and now I'll find who wants to work on that, or who I want to work with as a creator. Most people don't pitch. I was at a thing I can't talk about, and I was having lunch with Chip Zdarsky and Al Ewing and like a couple other people. And
that's a meeting of mine.
Oh, I love Al. And
Al's amazing, isn't he?
Oh, he's so good. Oh, one of the guys who was doing the YouTube videos about me begging, the brain surgeon I got to deal with, one of it, because it's all culture war stuff, with all the YouTuber guys. He was claiming that Eve Ewing, in one of his videos, that Eve Ewing was a Nepo baby who was obviously related to Al Ewing.
Oh God!
I know. Eve Ewing from Chicago.
The only hiccup I've done with that is when I've read a book coming up by Eve Ewing, and I thought it was a misprint, because I wasn't familiar with Eve's work, so I kind of misread. But
yeah, man. No, I love Al. When you're talking to Al and he's talking like this, he's great. So I'm having lunch, and we're at the table and we're having lunch, and Chip said, like, what are you doing? And I told him these pitches I made to Marvel they were buying, and he went, like, you pitch things to like. like this alien concept. Whenever I hear like a fan going like, "I have the best idea for like a Devil Slayer book," and I'm like, no one's buying that. The trick is like I look at what Marvel's doing, and I look at the and I go, they need this in their publishing schedule. And then I go, hey, CB, you should do a book like the original pitch for when I came back and I did Adjectiveless Spider-Man was Marvel Team Up never works. I love it. When I was a kid, it was one of the 4 books I bought when I could only afford 4 books a month with a quarter. I had $1 allowance. And Marvel always got Marvel Team Up. But whenever we try to put out Marvel Team Up, it doesn't sell. So I was like, I have an idea on how to do Marvel Team Up. You don't call it Marvel Team Up. It's Adjectiveless Spider-Man. But he teams up with whoever's got a movie or a TV show coming out for like 5 issues. Or 3 issues, and then it's 2 issues of the next guy who's got a movie or thing coming out. Because when that movie's going to come out, you're going to want to put out trade paperbacks. So you're going to generate this way. You get whatever the movie character premise is, whatever Guardians of the Galaxy, whoever, and they're teamed up with Spider-Man on the cover, your most popular character. And CB looked at that one. I can't say no to that. That's like a bulletproof pitch. And
why CB like to pitch to? Because I've been in the audience for a couple of panels with CB,
but
and I always find it interesting.
I find you're not supposed to pitch. It's this alien. I'm telling you the wrong thing to do. Because they come up with ideas and they come to you.
He seems to me very much like a jigsaw puzzle kind of guy, especially when it comes to talent. He's very much the guy that goes artist, writer. He's that guy. When it comes to the actual story, he goes, no, that's your job. You can do that better than. I mean, okay, I can do it, but this is yours. I mean, why? Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, but now here's the thing. So I pitched way back when that Spider-Man Adjectiveless book where it was going to be a team up. And that's why I did my second ever Spider-Verse story, because the Spider-Verse movie was coming out. So that was going to be our first thing. And what happened was we really never got to do what we planned to do. Like the next one would have been Spidey teams up with Ant-Man and the Wasp because of Quantumania.
Yeah.
But what happened was Spider-Boy, his first appearance, became the best-selling single issue of that year for Marvel. And they went, oh, he's going right into a book. You're doing Spider-Boy. And Spider-Boy is going to be in all the next issues of Spider-Man. And so we kind of threw out the premise to run with the Spider-Boy of it all. It was crazy. But that's the way comics are. So what I'm kind of hoping is I can get the message out to people who like my work on Spider-Man. If you like it, please, you have till the 13th to make the final order cutoff to tell your retailer this is a book I want to read.
It's all about the retailers and getting them excited and getting those books in the. Yeah, I get it.
So that was that message. It was aimed at people who are going to buy the book anyway. Make it a prearranged sale. Just trust me enough to know you like my work on Spider-Man and that you don't need to see the covers and you don't need to read the solicitation 3 months ahead of time, because that's it. It's the magic 3-month gap. They're buying those first 3 issues blind, the retailer. So before you even have a chance to crack it open, you might never get a chance to crack open issue 6. Yeah, I'm fighting the fight for issue 6. And it's so frustrating, Leonard, because if we keep this book going, if we do what I want to do and we keep the gas pedal on, we get to issue 8 in December. That's the 50th anniversary of Spectacular Spider-Man. And we'll do something crazy. And I kind of know what that is, but I want to be able to write it. Like when the only book I've ever really had get canceled out from under me was The Thing. doing my monthly Thing book with Andrea DeVito. We had so much fun on that book. And I let myself get carried away because Thing is like, you know, if you had to ask me who my 2 favorite Marvel characters are, it's Spider-Man and the Thing. So I desperately wanted, I was so happy to do this Thing monthly book. And we got to issue 6 and we knew we were dead. We had 2 issues to wrap up. And I tried to do a pull my Thing. I kept running around trying to get everyone to go, we're trying a new initiative. It's called Pull My Thing. Go to your retailer, ask him to pull it. I'm doing the same thing I'm doing now. And we were like a month too late. The book was dead. So it's frustrating. And in my head, I had up to issue 50 planned out for my Thing monthly book. And I could tell you everything I wanted to do in issue 50. And a lot of it you saw in Fantastic Four issue 5, where Ben marries Alicia. But I had like so much of this stuff planned for all that would get you to Thing 50. And we got to issue 8. I've never had that problem before in a book, like with Silver Surfer.
Those are the kind of ideas then that would sit in a drawer to come out down the line. Or are you somebody that then takes those and goes, okay, I'm done. I'll shelve it. I get it.
There's stuff that just doesn't work because the universe moves on, and the characters grow in different ways. Very much like the ending of How I Met Your Mother. They pegged their ending so far ahead of time. The characters had grown, and it felt like a false ending. You can't be wedded to this idea that you've always had, because the characters might grow in different ways. So there's like a whole storyline in the Thing. It's unusable. It's completely, and there's a lot of stuff I wanted to get to and do. But there was a story in there that was one of the 3 stories in Fantastic Four number 5, which was it was a night. Mike Allred drew it. It's gorgeous. It's Ben. It's the story of Sue and Ben before the rocket, and then right after the rocket, and because there is those moments where he's trying to pursue Sue, where there's a little bit of a love triangle. And when he comes out of the wreckage as the Thing, the name, this hideous name that sticks with him, Sue gives it to him. The woman he clearly was in a love triangle with Reed, the way it was set up back then. And then that's crashed from that moment on. And there's a storyline. The first time they meet the Puppet Master and Alicia looks so much like Sue that the Puppet Master is able to just put a blonde wig on her and put her in an Invisible Woman costume to fool people. So here you have a Sue who's blind, a lookalike that falls for Ben. And it's all about, no, she's not. She's her own person. Yeah. She's her own thing. But it's all about Sue. It's the story where she feels all this like hurt, that like she did all this hurt to Ben. And it's all about her being the secret matchmaker, putting the 2 of these guys together and trying to set them up for the first date and pushing Ben, like, oh, Ben, that woman we met in that adventure, I got all this marble for her. It weighs a ton. Could you carry it over to her art studio? And she's secretly doing all these things. And by the end of the story, you realize, even though she tried to set things in motion, Ben and Alicia do it all on their own.
Yeah.
But it's this sweet little story, and it's told all through flashback as he's getting ready for his first dance with Alicia, and Sue is and he tries to learn. He's taking all these dance lessons in his spare time, but then you see the row of all the people at the dance studio where they've all got casts on their feet. So Sue has to teach him because she can make invisible force fields on her feet. So she's teaching him how to dance, and while they're dancing, you're seeing the whole story of Ben and Sue. Nice. And how so I had that one in my pocket. So sometimes you have the ones in your pocket that I've got a pocket story, like something that's been sitting in my pocket that you'll get to see later in the year. I'm not saying whether it's for Marvel or DC, but it's one I've had in my pocket for a long time and saving it for a special occasion.
Tell you what, then let's talk about 2 books. Then let's talk about let's do Spider-Man first. Let's do Brand New Day. Yay! You were talking earlier about a great Dan Slott story of beat a minute, pack it in. The thing about Brand New Day for me when I read it back in the day was it couldn't go 110 straight out the gate because you needed to work out where and what the hell is going on. It needed a little bit of time to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
With your book, are you 110 straight out the gate?
110 right out of the gate. But what we're doing is every issue will feature the magnificent Marcos Martin, and you will get a primer. Do you remember they had these amazing Alex Saviuk posters with Coca-Cola, and it wears you can Google it, Coca-Cola poster Marvel Saviuk, where if you got enough box tops or whatever you got in the 70s or 80s, you got this big ass poster. They're gorgeous, which in the space of a poster done up like a comic book page, it's the origin of Spider-Man, the origin of the Fantastic Four. And the last shot is always like this great, pose-worthy, corner box-worthy shot of the hero with their logo. And that's how he became the Amazing Spider-Man. And you can have this poster on your wall. Or like in the 50 years ago, the first ever Superman, Spider-Man, how you go, now a break for hero identification. And they had those giant Ross Andrew pages that retold Superman's origin. Because as much as we love the All-Star Superman 3-panel thing, he this, he that, he that. That only works because you already know the story. If you saw that, someone mind wiped you and you saw those 3 beats, that means nothing to me. I'm confused. But you know the story. So that's him kind of going nudge, nudge. It's this. Every issue will have this Marcos Martin featurette that we worked on together, where it's in this glorious page. It will bring you up to speed with everything you need to know in a beautiful, gorgeous way. With lots of style and pizzazz. And our first issue, which is a 25-pager, you actually get 3 of these pages by Marcos Martin. So I'm very, you will know exactly where you will have ground under your feet when you go into this, and then we go 1,000 miles an hour. So you'll know exactly where you are. You'll be standing on bedrock, and even if you're a new reader who's never read Spider-Man before in your life, you will understand the world of Spider-Man. You will understand the world of Spider-Man Brand New Day, and now we can jump right into this big ass story with Spider-Man and Kingpin and Mr. Negative, the lexicon of crime, an all new thing in the Marvel universe, up there with the Darkhold and other wacky, or the Lemurian tablets. If you know your Spider-Man stuff, this MacGuffin, the lexicon of crime. Ooh, and,
you can't help but go into the voice there, can you?
I'm having so much fun. And so it's Peter and Aunt May and Robbie Robertson and all these characters you know and love. Plus new characters that we met in the Brand New Day era, like Captain Yuri Watanabe, who we also saw in the Spider-Man PS4 game, and Martin Lee, who runs the Feast Center, and Dexter Bennett, instead of Jay Jonah, is running the DB instead of the Daily Bugle. So you get this mix of Brand New Day elements and modern day elements, and by the time we're out of the Brand New Day era story, something will happen in the present, which will affect the world of Spider-Man in present day, And I am also been told, though I can't mention it yet, another flagship Marvel book, which this will affect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
There is another flagship title in the Marvel universe that the events that we're doing will affect. So it's like, this is a real book. It's Spectacular Spider-Man, and it will affect modern day.
Well, that is kind of the odd thing. I mean, when it comes to, I mean, I said it right at the start of our chat. It was, you are somebody that will go in and you will put big ideas that will, I mean, it's not, you are not a end of the book, reset the universe, let's start a new story, issue 2, whatever. You are somebody that just goes in and goes with big ideas, and you swing for the pitches. Breaking a window in the over in the distance, maybe, but you know,
I would rather do that. I would rather, instead of you getting your fourth Mysterio story, I would rather like do something that has never been done with Mysterio before that messes you up. You know, like what's going to be the thing that I can get to at the heart of this that you've never seen it before, and it's going to blow your mind. And a lot of times, you know, you do it and it hits right, and then people go, I can't believe you took that risk. And you do it and it hits wrong, and you go, well, that was stupid. Why did they try that? But we tried. So please come along to my, you know, Babe Ruth gets the most home runs, but he also gets the most strikeouts. And you never know until you swing that bat. So I want to try every time to do that. What the hell, man? What are they? What? Doc Ock's brains in his body? What? Wait, he's running a corporation around the world? What? Why? I don't understand. Why are you doing this to Spider-Man?
I think that's the thing. You come in with and this is what we're going to do with the story, and the audience are like, well, you two different registers.
But at the same time, what I hope is that fans see that, like, those are the big beats of the symphony. Those are the, you know, we're firing off the cannon and we're smashing the cymbals. But over there, we're going to do a short story with the Vulture about how he's taking these kids off the street and making them like he's acting like a Fagin and sending them off to feather his nest. And if they screw with him, he turns off their wings mid-flight. Like, and people forget, like, there'll be a 2-page story like that, a 2-part story like that in the middle of all this madness.
Yeah,
there will be a chance to catch your breath and just get the, oh, that was a weird Vulture story. Or like one of my favorites, it ticks me off that most people don't like because whenever they talk about, oh, here's your run of Spider-Man, they always talk about the peaks and the valleys. And I love all the little things we did along the way. Like we did this one story where Spider-Man gets tomorrow's newspaper through time travel shenanigans. And he now knows he has to do everything in the newspaper or Manhattan blows up. And it's a 2-part story. And that time travel Spider-Man story is like one of my favorite things we ever did. It's a really tight 2-part time travel shenanigans in the world of Spider-Man. It's those little things. We did a lizard story where for a while the status quo was we had the lizard brain was Kurt Connor's brain in the lizard body. So we did a 4-parter where we flipped it, where Kurt Connor's, it's the lizard brain in his body, and he's trying so hard to be normal while he's trying to figure a way to make himself the lizard again. And he's turning everybody else in Horizon Labs into lizards, and he hasn't been able to figure out how to do it for him. And I love that story because there's one bit where as Kurt Connors, but with lizard brain, the formula still works. So he's grown his hand, but he can't have people know So he's cutting it off and throwing it in a thing. And so whenever they meet him, oh, hey, Mr. Connors. And then at one point he was talking on the phone with someone and he was fiddling with things and he cut off the wrong hand. And he totally didn't realize it. And then Carly Cooper or somebody, or no, Arabella Fishback walks in the room. She's like the hippie at Horizon Labs. She's like, Dr. Connors? Shouldn't you be missing the other hand? Then he has to clonk her on the head and shove her in the closet and turn her into a lizard. Like, no, people don't remember that. And that's the kind of weird ass stuff I like too, that all the stories in between the cracks before we take the big swings.
I'm down for that. I'm absolutely down for that. How far in production are you for the book so far? I mean, were you for scripting? Where's the pages coming in? Whereabouts are you?
Spectacular One is out. It's at the printer. The final order cutoff for you to put orders is April 13th. The issue 2 is completely drawn and inked, and the colors are coming in on that. And issue 3 is being drawn as we speak. So I would love to be able to plan for the future. I would love for the sales to come in and be great so I can go, okay, here's how we'll play 4 and 5 and 6. But for now, we only have to go ahead for 4 and 5. And on Superman, like 11's coming out next week, and 12 is gone. I'm scripting 13. Lucas is drawn 14. Everything is moving along.
Touch wood. You okay? That's why you touch wood, and you everything's going fine.
Yeah. No, everyone's working, everyone's happy. Like we've got on the 22nd, this gorgeous thing comes out.
Yeah.
Superman, Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man meets Superman was like 50 years ago. I was 8 years old, and it was one of the 3 most important comics of my life. Like it's in my top 3 is that nice. Comic. It blew my mind that these 2 characters could meet.
I got it as in the UK, it came out as an oversized print from Marvel UK
Treasury.
So
yeah.
it was a big book. It was a big ass book. And because that blew me away as it was something special that had been printed oversized, gorgeous. There's 2 books that I'm looking forward to. Is that and the one that came Mad number 1, DC Mad.
I was so bummed that I was asked. I would love to take the piss out of something in that. But this is when they were doing Batman Deadpool, and they announced it at Marvel, I just knew everyone was running for it. Like everyone was like, I want to be a part of this. I want to do one of the backups. I want to do a thing. And I wrote a letter to CB and to Marie. And I was like, guys, you're missing the boat. You know, like I'm not going to be one of the guys, you know, screaming at you, let me work on Batman Deadpool. Next year is going to be the 50th anniversary. You should do Superman Spider-Man. And from both of them, I could hear the eye rolls in the email back to me going, oh, damn, we had no idea. You know, I just like curled up like a bug in the corner. So yeah, that was where I wanted to plant a flag. Like, I want to be in that. I want to be in, because that's the money, man. I've been talking to Jerry Conway forever. He called me up. I had never talked to him before. He called me up when all the death threats were happening for Amazing 700. And I just get this cold call from Jerry Conway. And he goes, Dan, this is Jerry Conway. I'm like the man who was writing Spider-Man when I was a boy. You know, I was buying Jerry Conway off the rack. And I'm like, hi, Jerry Conway. And he's like, you know what makes you different from every other Spider-Man writer? And I'm like, no. And he's like, you're the Spider-Man writer from the age of social media. And I'm like, Yeah. I'm like, huh. And he goes, if I had killed Gwen Stacy and there had been social media, everything you're getting now, I would have gotten. That would have been on my plate. I'm like, wow. And he just started walking me through what that was like in his time, and with the letters and the mail, the snail mail, and he was just talking me down because I was freaking out when all this was happening. And from that point on, like, you know, the door was open. I could talk to Jerry Conway. And I remember at Stanley's Memorial on Broadway, I'm there, and there's all these like people handing out hors d'oeuvres and the places to nosh. You know, it's like, it's a nice spread. And I look over, and there's Jerry Conway, and he's talking to like a prominent Marvel person and a prominent DC person. And then it was like a light bulb went off in my head. I went, Jerry wrote Superman, Spider-Man. Like, I never like. And I went over to him when he was free, and I went, Jerry, I've never asked you, what was that like? All the pressure, like, to be the first. And he went, Dan, you want to know what the secret of that was? Well, like, you know, with pressure and all the expectations, I was too young and too stupid to know how important it was.
Wonderful.
I'm like, well, yeah, he's just a wonder. He's brilliant.
That it's a very similar answer to DeMatteis when he was talking about Justice League. He just went, we were just doing this book, and we were too stupid to realize what we were doing and what we were doing with that book. And yeah, or too young. We'll go with too young. Not too. The last thing, that man is too stupid. Yeah.
No. So being on this was like a dream. And I kept pitching things to them because they said the one thing you couldn't do, because the lead was going to be Brad doing Superman, Spider-Man, on the Marvel side. They said the one thing you can't do is do a story with Superman and Spider-Man. You can pick other elements of their universes and how they combine for the backups, but no Superman, Spider-Man. And they're like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I want to do Superman, Spider-Man. You know, like, yeah. Do you want to have, you know, they were like, do you want to have, you know, Superboy meet Spider-Gwen, or, you know, no.
That's not the reason I came in.
And so I was pitching them all these different versions of Superman, Spider-Man, which they were shooting down for very logical reasons, because it would have been a million forms and a million licensors and just a headache. I was pitching them like Spider-Man 67 and Superman 66, the cartoons, or Nicholas Hammond, Christopher Reeve. I was pitching them like, and they're like, we can't do that.
Just be careful. You're throwing out a lot of gold ideas and just leaving them on the table, man. Just
no, but like, it's impossible for us to do the legality of all that to make that happen.
Yeah, like that stopped anybody on Kickstarter. Anyway,
but end of the day, you know, I think it was CB who said, "You're the Spider-Verse guy. Pick someone from the Spider-Verse," and then it hit me, like, because my real intro to Superman was we would have these Purim carnivals at my temple, and the guy who owned this big local movie theater, who would show classic movies, he would, for the Purim carnival, he would take a room in the temple and he would show old classic cartoons, like things we'd never seen, Betty Boop and you know, old Fleischer's Popeyes, and he showed the Fleischer Supermans. So I saw the Fleischer Supermans, and I was keyed for Golden Age Superman. That kind of, like, you know, leaps tall buildings, doesn't fly, and beats the hell out of everybody. And
I am more than aware. There's a company called 3D iPop that have been doing the 3D conversions for them. I've got my Oculus. They've done 3D versions of the Fleischer. And they're fucking gorgeous. They're absolutely beautiful.
They hold. They
oh yeah.
With the exception of the racism. there's like 4 like problematic episodes
Yeah.
that you have to pretend don't exist. But outside of that, that's and I was like, if I did Spider-Man Noir, who's set in the 30s, I could do Spider-Man Noir Golden Age Superman. And the minute I saw that, I was like, okay, now there's nothing else I want to do. I want, and they were like, how would that even work? And I said, well, let me call up Marcus Martin, because I thought he would be able to bite that on that. He would go like, oh, I want to do that. And once that was in place, the big problem we had with this is Marcus was like, I will do a whole mini series of this. Like, we're a short, we're a backup. And I was like, and he was like, well, we could do like a 48-page special of this. We're the backup. And and then like when we were doing the backup, I was like, I would murder someone for like 1 extra page of real estate. Like one, just give me 1 more page. Brevoort was editing it, and he was like, no, you guys nailed it. And being this concise and in this, it's a gem. And we were like, Marcos takes his time to draw stuff, and everyone knows I am very slow with writing. We were the first guys done and in. We were in the drawer locked. Muntz's coloring, Joe Carmani's lettering. We were locked. We were the first project locked in this, because we were like, we just had such a blast. And it really is one of these kind of dream project things where I'll be on my deathbed and I'll be like, I'm glad I did that. I did that with Marcus Martin. It's a short story. I don't care. It's a short story. I am so effing happy with that. Yeah. See, this is a good question for your, like, when you're talking to people, like when you talk about like Desert Island Disc kind of level questions, like what are the stories that like you're like, okay, I get everything else from here on out is gravy. Like I got that one in the drawer. We did it. We nailed it. Everything's good. Like
nice.
I've had a bunch of those in my career where I'm like, if I get hit by the bus now, I'm good. I'm good. Where like really early on, I did a Marvel Comics Presents story where I did a 2-Gun Kid 8-page story with Gil Kane.
Ooh.
Yeah, I did an 8-page 2-Gun Kid story with Gil frickin' Kane. It was like one of the first things I wrote for Marvel. It was like I'd only had like barely had anything under my belt. And when they have those books like Marvel Visionaries, Gil Kane. Yeah. It's the last story that runs. And it actually has in the backups, they did like the DVD extras after all the stories. Mm-hmm. Gil drew the story with exit wounds, which you weren't allowed to draw in the 90s. And they had all the exit wounds art corrected out. And they show the original pages unaltered in the back of the, and yeah, that was a dream. And it's a good story. It's a good 2-Gun Kid story. So like, that's one of those things. I did in my Ren and Stimpy days, I did a choose your own adventure Ren and Stimpy comic. Nice. That involved time travel. So the book would trick you with choices you made to read pages you've already read. So there was like 7 possible outcomes, and it was a 48-page comic, but one of them was a 56-page story. Because you kept running through segments. We did if then go to loops to trick you into. So there'd be like a scene with 3 sets of Rens and Stimpies having a problem, and you'd read the scene once, and then the information you gained before you came back to the loop changed what everyone was saying, the context. So you're like, oh my God, that's what that second set of Ren and Stimpies were talking about. And then you think you're gonna read it a 3rd time, but we pull a fast one on you and you go to a different set of pages. So you see the same scene, but now it's 180 degrees around, and you're the Ren and Stimpies that were jumping in the background, and now the other guys couldn't hear because they were too far away.
How long did it take to come up with that?
It was
And I mean,
6 months.
that's a lot of post-it. That's a lot of post-it notes.
It was 6 months of work, and we planned it way ahead of time. So normal issues are coming out, and then this was a special. And I'd always keep coming back and working on it. I had giant sheets of butcher paper on this wall that with all the flow charts to make sure it all worked out. And when we were finished with the project and I took the butcher paper down, the markers had bled through to the wall. And we had to repaint that wall, and I didn't give a shit. I was so fucking happy with this comic. I did not give a shit that we had to repaint the wall. It was worth it. The book was about to leave. On the day the book is leaving, I found an error in the in all the if then go to loops. And Tim Toohey, the editor, I was saying, Tim, don't let that book leave. There's a thing where it says go to page 3. It should say go to page 13. If they go to page 3, the story works, but it means you'll have 5 pages of this book that are outside of a loop that no one will ever reach or read. And he's like, I've read this thing 1,000 times. It makes sense. Do not do this to me. I'm like, Jesus, Tim, add the 1. Add the 1. 13. Go to page 13. He's like, I hate you, Slott. I hate you so much. And he added the 1, and the book left, and everything was fine. But
Jesus.
Yeah. So and that was up there. And we did Surfer 11 with the Mobius strip issue. That took like 6 months of planning too. It was just something we always had in the background. We knew we were going to get to it. They're just these golden moments where you do these issues or these stories, and it's not that you didn't put the work into the stuff you do every month, because boy, you put the work in every month, but there are those ones where you go, I will go to my grave and I will remember this story, and I'm so happy with it. And I got to do Golden Age Superman meets Spider-Man Noir. So happy. I can't wait for people to do the forensics on it. I don't want to say anything about it now, but like they go, oh, that was a tip of the hat to that issue, or that was a tip of the hat to that famous iconic visual, or that was a tip of the hat to, yeah, but it gets you from A to B to C, and we're out.
When you talk about your Desert Island books, then is it the final product that you are most proud of, or is it the work that went into them that you gravitate towards?
It's the whole Megillah. Like, yeah, like I can't imagine, with Surfer 11, so much work went into that, and all the work that Mike and Laura did, and all of us collaborating together. Like, I had all this stuff worked out on the whiteboard, and it was insane. And if all Mike did was just do that, it would have worked. But he would do things like, he did this thing where he shaped every panel so it slightly had a bend and felt like a natural arrow, which forced your eye to keep reading that was him. That was all him. Or how if you block it out on a Mobius strip, it's really 4 stories that are all taking place at the same time. And Laura did things that kind of color coded them. So it's like everyone worked together to do this thing. There are certain issues. Yeah.
Is there a book where you've put some serious effort in? Oh, I mean, obviously, okay.
Oh, and then it just crashed.
Let me not insult you there. You put serious effort in everything you do, of course. But no, those books where you've really gone so like hard head heavy and really kind of worked on it, and it hasn't either got the audience that you felt it deserved, or
I am so mad that people haven't discovered when we did the Reckoning War in Fantastic Four, there is a side book which is I think it's the Reckoning War, Trial of the Watcher. I really wanted it to be called What If, and then have a thing.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I get really mad. The one I get really mad about is when we did the Reckoning War. There was a side book, and it was Trial the Watcher. And I wanted to have this What If title, but we couldn't for various reasons because they were doing What If miniseries and they didn't want people confused. But the premise of it is just golden. It's a what if story that matters. Because normally you go, what if it doesn't matter? It's an alternate reality. It's over there. The Watchers, so much of the Reckoning War was about why the Watchers had their oath, where that came from, and how it has now come back to haunt them. The time in Marvel continuity when Watchers were at the start, they were just getting in everybody's business.
Yeah.
And then they screwed up, and this one race, the Persilicans, got Watcher level technology and wiped out half the universe. And the Watchers went, wow, we really screwed up. We will never interfere in anything again. We now have this new oath that all us Watchers are taking. And so much of these important moments in Marvel history are Uatu breaking that oath. That you think of so many classic stories where he breaks the oath, and that's how serious that story is. And so much of the storyline revolves around Watchers and their oaths. And at one point, they take Uatu because he's starting to meddle in the Reckoning War, and they grab him back to their Watcher planet. We go to the planet of the Watchers, which is established, and they hook him into the what if device. They actually have a thing they use to spur the what ifs, and they hook him into it Clockwork Orange style, and they are going to force Uatu to watch a what if against his will. And you find out it because we've seen so many seasons of what if comic books, and there's an obvious what if that we'd never seen before. If you're the Watcher and you could watch any what if to amuse yourself, there's the most obvious what if, and you find out that he's been too scared to watch it. So they're going to force him to watch it. And it's what if Uatu never interfered? What would the universe be? And so you go to the greatest hit of them all, because you see them all flashing on the screen all the times he's interfered. And the biggest one is I jumped the gun. I told you Galactus is coming, and I tried to hide the planet. So it's what if he didn't tell them, and he just let the Silver Surfer go, just go straight to Earth. And what you see is the Fantastic Four in the fight of their life against the Silver Surfer and Galactus without any help from Uatu. And you know what happens? The same way that, like, when your back is to the wall, you come up with something great. You come up with the invention. You come up with penicillin. You come up with this or that or the other. Reed comes up with a way to take out the Watcher. That's not the ultimate nullifier. Reed comes up with something of his own intellect, and he takes out Galactus. And now, armed with this new technology, he's able to bring about a new golden age for Earth. And Uatu is watching this, going, "Fuck!" That's the story. By the end of it, like, Reed is like, he's half slag, and Sue is blind, and like there's like all these different ramifications of, like, the FF are fucked up, but they bring around a golden age for humanity, and they spared the rest of the universe the Watcher because they took him out. And you just kind of go, well, fuck. And that's the story of that, and it's a done in one story. So you get to read Javier Rodriguez drawing the FF in the fight of their life for the Watcher, playing fair with the original Galactus trilogy. And I am so proud of that comic, and it is so far off everyone's radar.
I'm gonna have to hunt that down.
What's fun is when it later in the Reckoning War with lovely art by Rachel Stott. There's a point where different heroes have to go. They have to go free. She's the best. They have to go free Owatu because they force him to keep watching it on a loop. Is his penance. And they free him from that machine, and it's Reed or somebody goes, there's something they didn't show you. You only watched the story up to this. And what you realize is the thing that Reed created, he wasn't able to harness that technology properly, and it wipes out that entire universe. and that technology is a piece of the puzzle that is being used currently in the story. But yeah, they cheated. The Watchers cheated because they only showed them the story up to a point.
Yeah.
But I still love that done in one story with Javier Rodriguez.
Right. I'm hunting that down.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff like that, like I wish people saw this, or I wish people saw that. There's also the stories where like you have the premise and you only get one shot to do it, and sometimes you're like, I didn't nail that right, or I could have done that better. And I am someone who obsesses over stuff like that. I remember.
Are you somebody that does look back at previous books, or do you let it go? Let it fly?
I am so bad about that. There's a time when I drove Tom Brevoort crazy because I called him on the phone and goes, I know how to fix it. And he's like, what? Oh, that scene from She-Hulk 100.
That book that's been published and done.
It's published. It's done. The trade is out. You're insane. No, but this would fix that story. He's like, who are you? What is wrong with you? Why are you wired like this? So yeah, there'll be something like it'll stick to my craw, or a fight in the room I didn't fight hard enough for. Those hurt, and I will let that drag me down every time. I will let that, me and was it Atreyu's horse? I will go into that swamp, and I will let that drag me all the way down. Like, oh, I should have done that instead. Damn it. But
I am going to let you go and enjoy the rest of your Easter Sunday. Okay. I'm going to say thank you so much indeed for your time. And thank you so much indeed for giving some great insight into what we can expect from both Spider-Man, Superman, and also from Brand New Day. Really looking forward to that. But I'm going to wrap up on something that I saw on Threads with 5 movies that you watch countless times and never get sick of. I had to respond to that particular thread with everything on this hard drive countless times. My entire DVD collection's on that, and I watch films. I don't just watch 5 times, and I've watched every film over and over again, but you picked 5. And I want you to tell me about number 4, because Raiders of the Lost Ark, Spider-Man 2.
Raiders is my favorite movie of all time. Nothing comes close.
Sorry,
Spider-Man 2 is
Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Sorry.
Oh, you're evil. It's Raiders of the Lost Ark, you bastard.
Spider-Man 2, great choice. Die Hard, Ratatouille. What is Porco Rosso?
Porco Rosso.
Porco
Rosso is my favorite Hayao Miyazaki movie.
There it is. Okay.
Most people think of like Princess Mononoke, or there's certain movies that they span from, like, you get your Mononoke and then you also get your Totoro, which is so kid-like, and this is so serious. Porco Rosso is the adventures of this biplane, like a single prop, like after World War II, after World War I, before World War II, pilot in the Adriatic Sea who fights sky pirates and he's daring and dazzling, but very much cut from the cloth of a Cyrano de Bergerac or a Beauty and the Beast.
I've seen them. Okay, I've seen the memes. I get it. I now know I know what we're talking about.
Yeah, he looks like he's a pig man. Something happened to him that turned him into a pig man, but he's still this daring pilot. And if you have here in the States HBO Max, it's on HBO Max, and you could watch it either in the original Japanese, which I recommend, but if you're someone who wants to have a dub so you don't have to keep reading everything, the cast of the dub is fantastic. Michael Keaton is Porco Rosso. Carrie Elwes is.
I know that if anyone watches this, I'm going to get slammed for having this as a blind spot in my viewing.
I like it even more than Castle Cagliostro, which is like there's certain ones where it's like they're just wonderful. Castle Cagliostro and Mononoke, like all of them. There's only one Hayao Miyazaki movie I haven't seen, and that's Up on Poppy Hill. And I will not, because I know that will require days of therapy. It's the kids going like after it's either Hiroshima or Nagasaki, like dealing with the aftermath, and I'm like, I do not have the emotional capacity to watch that. So that's always been on the shelf, and I'm like in the collection. I own it. Someday I'll get to it. I have a Phantom movie, Leonard. I have a Phantom movie where it's I have never seen it to the end. Anytime I decide to sit down and finally see it, the universe, something happens. A relative will die. Some emergency will pop up. You have to leave now to do this thing. The power goes out. There's a blackout in the city. God does not want me to see this movie. And I love the filmmakers and I love the characters, and I have watched forever up to 3/4 of this movie. And I am now I don't know if I'm a religious man or a superstitious man. I don't want to risk it some days, because I've never seen The Big Lebowski. I've never seen the last quarter of The Big Lebowski. I have no idea. And I love the Coen brothers. I've watched a million Coen brother movies like a second, third, fourth, fifth time. I've never seen The Big Lebowski all the way to the end, because something will always conspire to stop me. It's very frustrating.
Citizen Kane for me. I've never seen it from A to B. I've seen it from 10 minutes in to the end. I've seen it from the first 10 minutes, and some things happened. It's a film I've never actually sat down and watched from A to B. And I feel, again, the universe has conspired. Yeah, no, I get it.
And I'm pretty sure I know how it ends, because people have ruined it for me. But I want to see it.
And yet I've seen The Shadow, A to B, over and over again. And, and at which point you just go, universe, what the hell are you doing to me?
No, it's like with Lockdown. Like, Lockdown was a chance where I finally watched, I'd never seen Parks and Rec. I watched through it. I'd never seen Last Airbender or Korra. Watched through all of it. There are all these things like I'll get to that. And even with all that, even with all, post lockdown, I've still never seen them.
My lockdown ones were Tom Baker era Doctor Who from start to finish. The whole of Sapphire and Steel.
Oh my God. No, I've seen like 4 episodes, and I'm like, I get it. I can't. To me, it's impenetrable. Sapphire and Steel.
Yeah.
To me, the only thing that could make it worse is if it was like a Jerry Anderson and they were puppets.
Oh God, can't even.
You know what I mean? Like, it's so.
I don't see the guy that does Lego adaptations doing any Sapphire and Steel clips anytime soon. That would just fry my mind.
And I've never seen Blake 7 all the way through.
that was going to be a project. I was going to do that because I was but then again, I watched that at the time. So I watched it all in one go, and I never missed an episode of that series.
I've had
some psychological damage. Did that show?
I've had a couple of series that I've done full watch throughs again. Like I've watched The Good Place a good number of times, all the way through, multiple times. I've watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But now I'm like, if I go to Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I might, like, on Halloween just watch the Halloween heists.
Yeah, I get it.
Stuff like that. Anyway, this was lovely.
Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
Again, looking forward to the books. Thank you so much indeed for coming on and joining me and talking to me about them. And yeah, Dan, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.